Last year, I discovered a mod for Minecraft called Distant Horizons that absolutely blew my mind. This mod allows the game to render distances way further away without a huge performance impact, and the results are a staggering display of the sheer scale of Minecraft, which is, well, technically infinite. Being able to see from miles in every direction transforms the game so much that I can't play it without this mod now. But recently, I stumbled across another project that, when combined with Distant Horizons, completely redefines what Minecraft is capable of. This is a 1-to-1 scale replica of New York City built in Minecraft. It's part of the Build the Earth project, which is working to create a complete 1-to-1 scale replica of every building on Earth in Minecraft. The project is made up of dozens of community-built teams from all over the world that have been working on the project since 2020. And while the scope of this endeavor is likely too ambitious to actually complete, the novelty, complexity, and sheer scale of what's been accomplished is truly staggering. But when viewing their efforts with just base Minecraft tech without any modding, well, the render distance leaves the project lacking. With Distant Horizons enabled, it's a completely different ballgame. One of the project's admins, who is also the owner of the BTE NYC build group, helped me get set up, including sending me cache data for Distant Horizons. Their help saved me hours of troubleshooting, so a huge shout out to them and the entire Build the Earth Discord. Now, the way that Distant Horizons works, it generates lower density models for distant objects, which is tricky when the actual objects are already cubes. How do you get lower density than a cube? Which is why, by default, Minecraft doesn't have a level of detail system, and it just stops rendering things after a certain distance, as even cubes can become too costly to render when there's millions and millions of them on screen. Distant Horizons uses some really clever combination techniques to group together many cubes in the distance and reduce the cost, allowing you to see incredible distances that vanilla Minecraft couldn't even dream of. The catch, however, is that you have to actually load the chunks by getting close enough for Minecraft to render them first. So even with Distant Horizons running, you have to play for a few hours and travel around your world to really see the difference. Or run a very intense process like the Chunky mod that forces the game to render chunks in a certain radius around you. But thanks to help from the BTE NYC build group, I could skip that tedious generation process and get straight into exploring the map. Now, obviously the distance tech is impressive, but truly the perceived realism of New York City in Minecraft is the selling point here. The voxel-based graphics of Minecraft don't exactly allow for photorealistic buildings, but the level of detail achieved throughout the city stands out. Many of the iconic buildings have small details like their signage and facades rendered with a high degree of accuracy. The World Trade Center Memorial really does a wonderful job of replicating the real-world structure's design. And across the city, it's clear that everywhere you look, there's small details like international flags, road markings, minor landmarks, and anything that you might expect to see in the real city. This attention to detail oddly makes the city feel far more realistic than I would have ever expected to experience in Minecraft, let alone any other game. Walking around Times Square at night in the rain is one of the most New York things I could think of, and the build team has really nailed the vibe. Likewise, flying around the Statue of Liberty and looking out at that iconic view of the skyline behind Battery Park was stunning. I'm sure there's probably been more detailed renditions of Lady Liberty done in Minecraft, but seeing it in its actual place surrounded by the Upper Bay just hits differently. I visited a handful of New York City locations too, like Wall Street. Looking in through the windows at the trading room floor was really cool. There's a surprising amount of detail packed into the interior, despite it probably not being a huge priority of the overall build. The same was true for the Staten Island ferry terminal. The glass facade and massive sign of the building dominates the view as you walk towards the entrance. The view of Manhattan when you burst out of the FDR Drive tunnel is like something out of a movie, and the iconic Brooklyn Bridge is rendered with a perfect view of the Two Bridges neighborhood. Of course, it was cool seeing the massive skyscrapers and even going to places that I had been in real life and matching up the view, and being able to get closer to some of these buildings than you could in real life is super cool. It kind of feels like you get that New York City helicopter tour, but without having to take a helicopter ride. Everywhere you look, there's an iconic New York City landmark, and it's just so much fun to travel around to either places I've seen or iconic shots from movies or just anything you want to do here. It really does match up. Of course, not everything is finished yet. This build team has over 8,000 members and has been working on it for years, so it's probably one of the most complete builds in the whole project, but there's still entire sections of the city under construction or getting massive overhauls. When the Build Earth project first started, the accuracy and detail of the builds were nowhere near the quality that it is today. So much of the existing work is actually being rebuilt using a combination of Google Earth and LiDAR data, which gives the teams much more accurate terrain to work on. Right now, bits and pieces of the project are released via Patreon, but they have a public server players and builders alike can access directly with basically everything that's been made playable. So there's certainly potential for players to grab the world files from Patreon and host their own servers to modify and utilize whatever the team has done. Now, I find that this project really shines when you take to the skies and start to fly around the map. Without distant horizons, the virtual skyscrapers of New York City are barely visible. But with it turned on, you could actually mistake it for a photograph of the real thing at a glance, as long as you don't look too closely. Seeing an entire city laid out like a scale model only to land and realize it's a full-scale world is kind of a jaw-dropping experience. Few games come close to replicating this experience, and for Minecraft to do it so well is staggering. In fact, I think one of the few games that gave me a similar experience was Microsoft Flight Sim. That game also uses real-world map data to generate terrain and buildings on a massive scale. Distant Horizons really unlocks projects like this and turns Minecraft from that neat game you played a bunch over the years to something that is still impressive today, 16 years after its alpha. It's also made it much easier to appreciate the magnitude of projects like this. On paper, it seems like an absolutely crazy task, and who would take it on? But when you actually see it laid out in game with the view distance far enough to see all of the edges at once, it really puts into perspective just how massive and potentially unachievable this project actually is. But I'm still so excited to see people take on the challenge regardless. This is without question one of, if not the most impressive Minecraft project I've ever seen. It's very much aided by all the great mods that have popped up over the years, and it's, again, just wild to see Minecraft still being one of the most impressive games you can check out today when you know what mods to look for. I'd be curious to know if you guys have any other Minecraft mod recommendations, other projects that you think are worth showing off. Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop me a like, subscribe for more content like it. And up next, check out this other game that's very much like Minecraft, but not Minecraft. It's got smaller voxels, destruction physics. It's a pretty cool project worth checking out. So click on that video next, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.